Quite frankly, I believe me and Azzi's personal relationship is nobody's business but our own.
Dallas Wings Media Day was supposed to be about a new season, a new roster, and a team trying to climb out of one of the toughest years in the league. But the moment reporters sat down with Paige Bueckers, one topic was always going to come up.
There is something that I wanted to address, and I only plan on addressing it once. So if we continue to get asked about it, we will refer to this moment in time, or we will use this time.
It was not just about basketball. It was about Azzi Fudd, her arrival in Dallas, and the attention surrounding the personal relationship between two of the biggest names from UConn now sharing a WNBA locker room.
And you guys have to ask questions about the basketball aspect of it, so that's what I will be addressing today.
And Paige did not dance around it. She made it very clear that her personal relationship with Azzi is not something she believes needs to be opened up for public review. In her words, what they decide to share is up to them and nobody else. That was the tone. Calm, direct, and pretty firm. She also made sure to separate the personal side from the basketball side, saying they have never allowed anything off the court to affect what happens on the court, and that is how they plan to continue moving forward. For a player entering a season with this much pressure, that answer said a lot. Bueckers did not sound confused by the attention. She sounded ready to close the door on it. She also stated that she had nothing to do with the Wings drafting Fudd with the #1 pick in the 2026 WNBA draft. That part matters because anytime two high-profile players with a known personal connection end up on the same team, people start asking whether the move was purely basketball or whether something else played into it. Paige's answer was simple. She was not part of that decision. Then she made one more thing clear. She does not plan to keep answering questions about it throughout the season. And honestly, that may be the best thing for everyone involved. Because there is a real basketball conversation sitting right in front of the Dallas Wings, and it is a big one. This team is coming off a 10-34 season, tied for the worst record in the WNBA. That is not a small hole to climb out of. Dallas is not entering this year with minor tweaks and quiet expectations. The Wings have a new backcourt, a major draft pick, a re-signed star in Arike Ogunbowale, and new additions like Jessica Shepard and Alana Smith. There is plenty to discuss without making every question about someone's private life. But the reason this situation became such a major talking point is not hard to understand. Azzi Fudd and Paige Bueckers are not random teammates. They were teammates at UConn for 4 seasons. They won a national championship together in 2025. Bueckers then became the top pick in the 2025 WNBA draft and went on to win Rookie of the Year. Fudd followed 1 year later as the first overall pick in the 2026 WNBA draft. That alone would create attention. 2 UConn stars, 2 #1 picks, now reunited in Dallas. That is a huge WNBA storyline. But last summer, they also publicly revealed they were a couple. Since then, they had not really spoken publicly about the relationship, and that silence created a lot of curiosity. Fans were asking questions. Media members were watching how the Wings handled it. And once Fudd was drafted by Dallas, the topic became almost impossible for reporters to ignore. Still, there is a difference between curiosity and entitlement. That is really the line Paige Bueckers drew at Media Day. She did not say people could not be interested. She did not act shocked that the question existed. She simply said their personal life belongs to them, and they will decide what part of it, if any, becomes public. For a league that is growing fast, with more cameras, more online debate, and more attention around every star, that boundary is important. WNBA coverage is changing. Players are becoming bigger celebrities. Fans want more access. Social media turns every clip into a conversation. But players are still people. Being public figures does not mean every private detail has to become content. At the same time, the Wings probably could have handled this smoother from the beginning. During Fudd's introductory press conference, she was asked about her relationship with Bueckers. That question was not shocking. Given the context, someone was going to ask it. The issue was how Dallas responded. The team stepped in for Fudd and declined to answer, which actually made the situation feel more awkward than it needed to be. Instead of making the topic go away, it gave people more to talk about. That is the strange thing about sports media. Sometimes the quickest way to make a story bigger is to avoid it too aggressively. If Fudd, Bueckers, or the Wings had made a clear statement from the start, something like Paige said on Media Day, this probably would have cooled down much faster. A simple line saying their personal lives are private, they are focused on basketball, and they will not be discussing the matter further would have created a clean boundary. Reporters still might have asked again, but the team could have referred back to the statement and moved on. Instead, the first public moment felt unfinished. So, by the time Media Day arrived, the question was still hanging there. Now, after Paige's comments, Dallas has a chance to shift the whole conversation. And that shift needs to happen because the basketball side is actually fascinating. The Wings have one of the most interesting backcourt situations in the WNBA. Bueckers led Dallas last season with 19.2 points per game, which is a huge number for a young player carrying that much responsibility. She came into the league with massive expectations, and winning Rookie of the Year only made the spotlight brighter. Now, Azzi Fudd joins her as another elite guard with high-level shooting ability, championship experience, and a long history of playing alongside Paige. That creates real questions, not gossip questions. Basketball questions. How will the Wings balance touches between Bueckers, Fudd, and Araki Ogunbowale? Will Paige spend more time as the lead scorer, or will she slide into more of a table-setting role when needed? Can Fudd become a major off-ball threat right away? How will Dallas build spacing around three guards who can put pressure on defenses in different ways? Those are the questions that actually matter once the season starts. The Fudd-Bueckers connection could be a major strength because they already know each other's games. That does not guarantee instant success, but it gives Dallas a foundation most young backcourts do not have. They have shared big moments before. They have played in pressure games together. They know each other's rhythm, habits, and timing from their UConn years. In a league where chemistry can take months to build, that history could help the Wings move faster. But the WNBA is not college basketball. That part cannot be ignored. The speed is different. The physicality is different. The scouting is different. Defenders are smarter, stronger, and more experienced. A connection that worked at UConn still has to prove itself against pro guards, elite wings, and coaches who will test every weak spot. Dallas cannot just rely on the past. They have to build a present-day system that makes sense for this roster. That is where Araki Ogunbowale becomes a huge piece of the conversation. Re-signing Ogunbowale gives Dallas a proven scorer and a player who has already shown she can create her own shot under pressure. She brings experience, confidence, and firepower. But with Bueckers and Fudd now in the mix, the Wings have to make sure the offense does not turn into three talented guards taking turns. That is not how good teams win consistently. The ball has to move. Roles have to be clear. Players have to understand when to attack, when to space, and when to let someone else lead the possession. That sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest things in basketball when multiple stars are involved. For Dallas, the ceiling is exciting. Bueckers can score and create. Fudd can shoot and stretch defenses. Ogunbowale can take over a game. Add Jessica Shepard and Alana Smith, and the Wings also have frontcourt pieces who can help give the team balance. Shepard brings toughness and rebounding. Smith adds size, versatility, and defensive value. After finishing 10-34, Dallas needed more than one fix. They needed a real roster reset. This is why the focus should now move toward how all these pieces fit. A team coming off the worst tier of the standings does not get better just because it wins the draft lottery or adds big names. It gets better by building habits. Dallas has to defend with more consistency. It has to rebound better. It has to avoid empty possessions. It has to find an identity that works over a full WNBA season, not just in exciting stretches, and the pressure will be real. When you draft Azzi Fudd #1 and already have Paige Bueckers, the spotlight gets bigger. Fans will expect highlights. National media will follow closely. Every strong game will bring hype. Every rough night will bring questions. That is the cost of building around famous young talent. The Wings are no longer just trying to recover quietly. They are becoming one of the teams people will watch because they want to see if this rebuild is real. For Paige, this season is also about leadership. Last year, she proved she could produce at the WNBA level. Now the next test is different. Can she help guide a team with more talent and more attention? Can she lead while also adjusting to new pieces? Can she handle the noise without letting it take over the basketball? Her media day response suggests she understands the bigger picture. She does not want the season to become a running conversation about her personal life. She wants the focus to stay on the court. And if Dallas is smart, the organization will support that boundary and keep steering the discussion toward the team's growth. For Azzi Fudd, the situation is a little different. She is entering the league as the #1 pick, which already brings enough pressure on its own. Every rookie has an adjustment period, even the great ones. Fudd will have to learn the pace of the league, deal with stronger defenders, and find her role on a team that already has established offensive talent. That is a big challenge before you even add the extra attention around her connection to Paige. The best thing the Wings can do is let her basketball speak first. Fudd's value is clear. She can shoot. She understands spacing. She has experience playing in big games. If she can stay aggressive, make quick decisions, and defend well enough to stay on the floor in tough matchups, she can help Dallas right away. But expecting her to solve everything from day one would be unfair. The Wings need to give her structure, not just spotlight. That is why the coaching staff has a major job ahead. They have to build a lineup that gets the best out of Paige, Azzi, and Ariki without turning the offense into a crowded guard show. They need to decide who initiates in different situations. They need to manage defensive matchups. They need to use Shepard and Smith in ways that make the team harder to bully inside. And they need to make sure young players do not get buried under the weight of outside attention. The good news is that Dallas has something every rebuilding team wants: hope that feels real. A 10-34 record is ugly, but it also creates a clean starting point. Nobody can pretend last season was good enough. The Wings know they have to change. The front office made moves. The draft brought in a major name. Media Day brought attention, but also a chance to set the tone. Now the real question is whether the team can turn all this talk into wins. The Paige and Azzi angle will not disappear completely. That is just reality. Fans will keep talking. Social media will keep watching. Every clip of them interacting will probably get extra attention. But if the Wings start winning, the conversation will naturally become more about basketball. Winning has a way of clearing the noise. Clear roles help too. Strong performances help even more. And maybe that is the lesson here. Dallas does not need to pretend people are not curious, but the Wings also do not need to feed that curiosity every week. Paige gave the answer. The boundary has been set. Now there is a full WNBA season ahead, and the team has much bigger things to prove. Can the Dallas Wings bounce back from one of the league's worst records? Can Paige Bueckers build on her Rookie of the Year season? Can Azzi Fudd make a smooth jump from UConn star to WNBA impact player? Can Ariki Ogunbowale fit with this new backcourt while still being the dangerous scorer Dallas needs? Can Shepard and Smith help fix the frontcourt problems that hurt this team last year? Those are the questions that should drive the season. Because if Dallas figures this out, this could become one of the most talked about teams in the WNBA for basketball reasons. A Bueckers-Fudd Ogunbowale core has real star power. The Yukon connection gives fans a built-in storyline. The number one pick brings buzz. The bounce-back mission gives the season urgency. There is no shortage of content here without crossing into private territory. At the end of the day, Paige Bueckers handled Media Day the way a leader should. She addressed the question once, made her position clear, denied having any role in the draft decision, and said she was moving forward. That was the right tone. Not defensive, not messy, just clear. Now it is on the Dallas Wings to make sure the next headlines are about basketball. Training camp is open. Media Day is done. Azzi Fudd is officially part of the Wings. Paige Bueckers is ready for year 2. Arike Ogunbowale is back. The roster has been upgraded, and after a 10-34 season, Dallas has no choice but to improve. The personal questions may have created the early buzz, but the court will decide where this story goes next. If the Wings start strong, people will talk about spacing, scoring, chemistry, and wins. If they struggle, the pressure will get louder. Either way, Dallas has become one of the most interesting teams to watch in the WNBA, and this season already feels like it has more layers than anyone expected.